And we actually have a real fun activity that we'd love for you guys to help us with. And I'll let Dr. Cyrus Rangan host our edition of Would You Rather Gardening Edition. Take it away, Cy.
All right, so this is Would You Rather, and this is just a very straightforward game to highlight some of the issues concerning garden safety. So let's go ahead with our first question. Question 1. When choosing plants for your home and yard, would you rather A, plant whatever looks nice from the store, or B, choose plants that are non-toxic to people and pets?
We'll go with B, choose plants that are non-toxic to people and pets.
Absolutely, yeah, and it is sometimes very tempting to choose lots of plants that look very nice or very ornamental, but some of these plants happen to be very toxic. So knowing which plants are toxic and which ones are not can be a good first step to try to make sure you have a non-toxic garden. All right, next question. Question 2: When planning a meal, would you rather A, forage and feed your family things that you find while gardening, or B, prepare ingredients that have been positively identified as safe to consume?
Definitely B.
B is the safe answer. And, you'd be surprised at the number of calls that we do get at California Poison Control where people are going out and sometimes into the wild, into forests and foraging for their own food. And while there can be safe ways to do that, sometimes it can be very, very difficult to tell safe food from poisonous food that actually may be out there. So we always recommend to make sure that things are positively identified before consuming them. Next question. When storing garden chemicals, would you rather store fertilizers, pesticides, and weed killers A, in a locked labeled storage area away from children and pets, or B, on the ground or an open shelf in the garage or shed?
A, in a locked labeled storage area away from children and pets.
Absolutely. And again, a lot of the calls that we do get about children getting into some of these garden chemicals, they occur in situations where it's very accessible on a shelf, in a garage, and easy for a child to get into. Next question. With children and pets in mind, would you rather A, save time by not reading labels when you treat your lawn or garden with chemicals, or B, follow label directions carefully to keep people and pets safe?
Definitely B, follow the label directions. Make sure that you know what you're working with is really important.
Absolutely. These labels are sometimes sort of glossed over, but those labels are there to keep you safe and to make sure that you're using the product safely. And the more you deviate from that label, the more unsafe a product can become. All right, question 5. If making a DIY or do-it-yourself mixture, would you rather A, clearly label any homemade solutions, or B, mix your own natural garden solutions in unmarked plastic bottles?
A, it's very important to label any homemade solutions.
Yes, absolutely. And again, you'd be surprised at the number of times that we get calls at Poison Control where you maybe have a young child who gets into one of these chemicals simply because it was taken from the container that it was sold in and placed into another container, such as a drink bottle. And these are always a recipe for disaster. So always make sure that you not only have clearly labeled products, but that they stay in the products, in the containers that they were sold in. All right. Thanks for playing, everybody.
Let's wrap up with some gardening safety tips. Remember to wear protective gear when you're gardening. Remember, safe storage is really important, and safe labeling as well for any chemicals that you might be using. And also know what's in your yard, whether it's the toxic plants that we discussed or some of the critters that we talked about. It's really important to have just situational awareness of what could potentially become a hazard for you. As always, we have fast, free expert advice 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at our Poison Control hotline at 1-800-222-1222. We have experts ready to stand by and answer all of your questions related to gardening safety or really anything else related to poisoning prevention and overdose prevention.